Experience is simply the name we give to our mistakes. This isn't something I came up with. These are the words of a legendary yet controversial playwright, Oscar Wilde. I'd like to start off by asking you all a question. Have you ever tripped over your own feet in front of a crowd and tried to pretend it was on purpose? Well, I have. And not just in real life. I've done it on stage under hot lights wearing a crumpled black dress with a million buttons. That's just about the same number of thoughts running through my head while I was delivering my lines. But the weirdest part, the audience clapped. They thought it was part of the show. Okay, so here's a little context. I've been performing on stage and doing theater for a little over 4 years. When someone's doing something for that long, you can probably tell that I must really love what I'm doing and have a lot to say about it. We spend weeks on rehearsals, tirelessly working all day and night with little to no sleep. From the blocking, to the bruises, to the backstage banter. By the time it's the day of the competition, you might think that there's no way anything could possibly go wrong, right? Well, wrong. Suddenly, everything that could have possibly gone wrong goes wrong. People panic and forget their lines, someone slips and falls, the set breaks. The list is endless. But as actors, we are taught to do as much damage control as possible because no one truly knows what we rehearsed. As Shakespeare once said, all the world's a stage and all the men and women merely players. If anyone questions it, we were just playing a part. I truly believe that it's those mistakes that makes the performance more captivating and gets the audience's attention, especially if it's been a long day and they're probably checking their watches every 5 minutes and wondering, when is this gonna end? That's how I think we should treat all mistakes. Get up, dust ourselves off, and act like it was meant to happen, because no one truly knows what's going on in our head. In society, we're also caught up in thinking about our appearance and the way people perceive us, that oftentimes the tiniest mistakes seem to feel like the end of the world. But I'm here to tell you that it's not. Everyone's so caught up in their own lives, and they're so busy that they often don't have time to think about others. Maybe in the middle of this speech, I might accidentally trip over my own feet, or someone in the audience might sneeze a little too loudly, breaking the momentum I've created. Yes, it's very embarrassing, but that's okay, because maybe me tripping over my own feet, or someone sneezing a little too loudly, is exactly what you're needed, so to stop what you are doing and think, what is she trying to say? In life, we all make mistakes. That's just how it works. And most of the time, we regret those mistakes. But it's important to realize that sometimes the greatest achievements in life happen because of mistakes. Without mistakes, there'll be no variation. There'll be nothing left to discover. Life would just be boring and repetitive and have no meaning to it. Growing up, we were always taught that we should be perfect and leave no room for error. But as we grow up, we realize it's not about not making mistakes, but it's about learning from them and to strive and become a better person. We've all made mistakes that really make us sit down and wonder, what have I just done? I have quite the story for it. I remember it was my first in-house drama competition, and I was one of the youngest members in the cast. I literally knew no one. But despite being one of the youngest members in the cast, I was given a big role. But to my horror, when I was on stage performing, I had forgotten my entire monologue. But luckily, my fellow cast member, who was way more experienced than I was, realized that I had forgotten and improvised for me. From that day onwards, I told myself, I never want to go through that ever again. So I try my best and I improvise whenever I can. Now, 3 years later, I've achieved everything I wanted and more. I'm pretty sure that everyone in the audience must have a story like that of their own. So I want you to take a moment and reflect. What's something that you've done that in the moment felt like the end of the world, but as time went on, you realized maybe it was for the greater good? I'm pretty sure we can all think of at least one thing of the sorts. We tend to treat mistakes like it's the end of the world, but maybe it's something that happens for the greater good. In theater, when we mess up on stage and recover from it, we call it improvising. But in real life, it's just adapting and growing. Look, almost all of us seated in this audience are teenagers. We're constantly being told to achieve great goals and to have our whole lives figured out. But what I realized is we don't really know what we're doing. We're supposed to make mistakes, we're supposed to mess up, but no one says that part out loud, right? We never see the falls, the stumbles, the awkward in-between stuff. But that's where the real growth happens. Not when everything is perfect, but when it isn't. Theater taught me that. The stage is a weird little mirror of real life. Every show has a script, but no show goes exactly to plan. And honestly, that's what makes it interesting. You might think that it's just us making mistakes. There's no way big actors from TV shows and movies actually make mistakes, and their improvisation is better than what they truly rehearsed. Well, in film, unlike theater, the director can now cut and reshoot the whole scene. But sometimes they decide to keep the camera rolling. Those scenes don't only end up in the final cut, but sometimes end up being the most iconic scenes in the entire movie. For example, Frank Slade in Scent of a Woman wanted to portray a blind man realistically. So what did he do? He decided to limit his own vision. What he didn't expect, however, was to walk into a trash can and take a tumble. You see, that wasn't part of the script, but they decided to keep it in anyway, because it suited his character really well. This example shows that the best performances are the ones that feel human, messy, real, and a little unpredictable. So when life trips you up, improvise, shine anyway, and remember, the stage is yours. Thank you.